Hello everyone, ShintoBean here with some more Warhammer Combat Cards content. In this one, I'm going to be going over the latest balance pass that has hit the game. It's the first one in quite some time, and this is February 20th, 2023. And it's a pretty big one, so there's a lot of cards have been effective, some of them in very significant ways. I think the goal of this pass, it says here, is to kind of shake up the meta and shine some light on the cards that are underperforming the most. So let's get right into it and take a look at the cards that were adjusted. So first, several warlords special rules were actually affected. So we've got Illic Nightspear here. Since his release, I think he's been one of the worst warlords in the game just because it's so hard to get his special rule to trigger. But now they changed the threshold from 75% to 65%, so it's a lot easier to kill those units in a single turn. So it should be pretty fun to try him out. Looking forward to seeing how that change affects his performance. Next up is the Parasite of Mortrex. So likewise, this one, they just reduced the damage reduction. So normally the first melee attack your unit makes, the damage is reduced by, apparently it says 60%. In the blog it says 50%, but it's going down to 40%, so I'm not sure actually which one is true here. But at any rate, your units will deal a little bit more damage with their very first melee attack. So actually those were the only two adjustments to special rules, but a bunch of card stats were adjusted, so we'll take a look at those as well. For the Tau faction, the first one we have is this guy. He is the commander in Cold Star Battlesuit, so he is 2 less points, +3 ranged, and +8 wounds. Very minor adjustment there. Next up is the Barracuda, and this one actually just got nerfed. I think in the past they've sort of avoided nerfing cards for the most part, but in this balance pass I think you'll see a number of cards, their power level is being decreased. I don't know, it doesn't feel that good getting, a really powerful card nerfed. I will say though, a lot of legendaries, since getting the dual traits, are much stronger. So, I mean, this thing is still quite strong. Magos Dominus is a whopping 3 points less, so not a huge change, but you can maybe fit a bodyguard in there that you weren't able to before. Inquisitor Greyfax, on the other hand, had her points increased by 3 points. And Canoness Viridian is just 2 points more expensive. Sergeant Stonetooth Harker, this guy is Berserker. His wounds have gone up by 20. We got this guy also, he went up 25 health. This guy is Dedicated Inspiring Presence, which Servants of the Emperor have quite a few of, so I don't personally use this guy. The Cataphron Breacher is getting +10 to the ranged attack and -10 to the melee. So overall, same overall attack stats, but now it's more of a dedicated ranged unit, which I think in general that is a good thing. Moving on to Space Marines, see a number of cards getting just a decrease to one attack type and increase to this a different attack type. So Captain Carludo, this guy is now more of a melee unit, and also his ready type was changed from ranged buff to ranged debuff. We got the Invader ATV, which had his trait changed from outflank to precision shot and +4 to its ranged attack, so this thing is definitely stronger. I just really don't like the model, it's so ugly, so don't personally use this one. Space Marines of course have a lot of other options when it comes to ranged units. And then this guy, Blood Angel's Death Company dude, Berserker, got +15 wounds. This guy already had quite a few wounds, I thought, for his cost. This is also kind of a relatively new card, so it's common, but I don't have it at a really high level. But he seemed to have decent stats already, but now he's even tankier. This is a pretty big change. Tigurius, the legendary librarian, is getting +11 to the melee, -14 psychic, and -10 wounds. So overall, definitely a nerf. Because you're not going to be using the melee attack as much. It's not as important as psychic, but again, with the dual traits, he is quite strong, very tough with the shields, and also deals quite a bit of damage with the Warp Surge. Njal Stormcaller also got kind of nerfed, so slightly more health, but -10 psychic damage, and then his ready type changed to psychic debuff, which is the most useless ready type in the game, because you're almost never going to be using it. Moving on to Chaos, we've got the Skull Cannon of Khorne. This thing got +7 ranged, -10 melee, but +20 wounds. It is a Berserker with 2 attack types, so on paper it seems like it should be pretty good. Haven't really used it much yet, again, because it's a relatively new card, and they're just other options, I think. The Noise Marine of Slaanesh, this thing went down 4 points, so I don't know. I don't really use ranged Chaos cards much in general. This is an epic card, so at level 9 it unlocks Precision Shot, which would turn into a Precision Barrage, which is quite good. But it just takes so long to get the number of cards to upgrade it to that level. The Flamer of Tzeentch, this thing has pretty good stats, I'd say, for the cost. Again, relatively new card, but pretty strong. It went down by 2 points. And then for the Tyranids, the Parasite of Mortrex actually went down 4 points, so you got more points for bodyguards. The Toxicrene, this is an interesting change, went down 2 points, got +6 melee, and had his trait changed from Poison to Death Blow. I always thought, Poison was, the best fit for this card. I mean, it has Toxic in its name, but I don't know, Death Blow is probably more useful. It doesn't really have a very strong melee attack, even with that buff, so I don't know if it's really a very good card, especially 30 points is kind of expensive. But I might test it out with Gosar and see how it does. The Ravener got +20 health, and then its trait changed from Outflank to Furious Charge. I'd say, yeah, Furious Charge is probably a better trait. This thing does deal pretty good amount of damage. It packs a really solid punch, so combining it with the Parasite of Mortrex or Gosar should be a little bit better. We've got the Exocrine, very powerful ranged unit for the Tyranids. This one had one of its upgrades changed from melee to wounds, and then it has -10 wounds, so not a very significant change, really. And then for the Necrons, the Corpse Lord has finally gotten the change that everyone has been waiting for. Well, not exactly, it's 1 point less, but its traits changed from Regeneration to Medicae. I'd say Medicae is quite a bit better. Necrons now have just a ridiculous amount of Medicae, but being able to heal your other cards when this guy deploys, in addition to healing himself, of course, I think is a lot more useful than the slow health gain of regeneration that he used to have. And then for the Orcs, the Killa Khan got +23 wounds. Interesting number there. This thing also seemed to have really good stats for its relatively low cost, so it's kind of a crazy card for 26 points. I guess it does have to compete with a lot of other strong ranged units that Orcs have, though. The Custom Mega Cannon is 1 point less. And I guess that's actually the last one, too. I don't know, these cards are just decreased by 1 point. It just makes me laugh. Like, what difference is that actually going to make? I don't know. But yeah, that's it for all the changes here. Quite a few. This captain was the guy who was in charge of the balance pass this time around. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this affects some of the warlords, especially, well, I do want to try out Illic Nightspear again for sure, and maybe Gosar with some of those Tyranid units that were changed around, as well as the Parasite of Mortrex. So yeah, I'll be maybe doing a few videos of that this season. But let me know what you think of the balance pass and the state of the game right now, and any other changes that you'd like to see. But that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.